All right, so welcome. In this video, we're going to talk about the common questions about Illustrator, what it's for, who it's for, okay? Is it right for you? So we're going to answer those big questions now. The first question is going to be, what are the main things designers use Illustrator for? The main one is logo design, branding, and illustration. It gets used for lots of things, but that's kind of like it's around the kind of core. Okay, vector illustrations, branding, logos, icons, any of that sort of flat vector, if you know the term, is done often in Illustrator. It gets used for things like packaging design, okay, very often. It gets used for brains melting. What else does it get used for? Like my vinyl cutter for my t-shirt prints, okay, I use Illustrator to create all the outlines that my plotter or my cutter cuts out. It might be embroidery machine. It gets used for doing presentations. It gets used for creating, often Illustrator, like you can make a small magazine in Illustrator, but then you want to move to probably InDesign. It's often a creation tool to move it off to somewhere else. Generally into something like InDesign or a web design. Okay, you create it in Illustrator, the thing, the object, the icon, the logo, and the illustration, and then move it off to something else. It might be prints for fabric. There's lots of things you can use it for. All right, I'm not an illustrator, and I don't think I can draw. Can I still use Adobe Illustrator? Yes, because you don't draw in Adobe Illustrator. And do you need to draw to Adobe Illustrator? No. What you need to do is have an idea, okay? And like if you're, let's say that you are that person, like I can draw, okay, so often I will start with a drawing and then draw in Illustrator. If you're not that person, you need to probably start with inspiration or mood boards of other people's designs, illustrations. You're not copying it, okay, but you're getting ideas from it and kind of combining it, like I like that part of it, but I don't like that part, and you end up changing it and making it your own, so it's unique. You haven't copied anyone, but also you haven't had to start from scratch. So no, you don't need to be, like it says it's Illustrator, but it can be used quite technically as a technician. So a lot of my freelance youth, okay, when I first started freelancing, I was a Mac operator. So a Mac op is somebody who was, I was told what to do. So I wasn't a very creative role. My job was to say, an art director would say, here, design this, or a product person would say, hey, I need a box shaped like this. And you'd be like, great. So I'd go in and just do what they wanted. And it's because it's quite technical and you can be very precise. I was more of a technician and I loved it. It was great. It wasn't very creative, but that might be something for you that you might be like, I love the making and the doing, but the scratching your noodle kind of trying to work out designs of like what it should look like and what color it should be might not be for you. So I went on a bit of a tangent there, but there you go. I'm a UX designer. I'm a UX designer, or I want to be a UX designer. Do I need to learn Illustrator? Should I learn Illustrator? No, you can get quite far these days using a specific UX program. So if you are a UX designer or want to be a UX designer, you can get away with learning just Adobe XD or Figma. I've got courses for both of those. Check them out. bringyourlaptop.com. But it has a lot, it's based around a similar sort of underlying kind of concept, which is vector. Okay, so it uses points and coordinates rather than Photoshop, where Photoshop uses more little pixels to kind of create a beautiful image, whereas Illustrator is more using these coordinates and dots and coloring them in. So it's quite flat, quite simple shapes, okay? And XD and Figma, which is the UX designer's main tool, works the same sort of way. So things like the pen tool, if you know from Illustrator, they have the exact same thing in Figma and XD, and they work almost identically. Drawing lots of those sorts of things, they have like, you know, the shape builder in Illustrator, if you know it. There's something similar in in Figma and XD. So no, is it handier? Yes, Illustrator is like a specific version for doing illustrations and icons and things, whereas some of the UX programs they give it lip service, they do a bit of it, enough of it, okay, to draw icons and stuff, but as soon as you want to do like a cool blend, you know, or something like a gradient that's not just like a linear gradient, you have to go to something like Illustrator. So it's handy, not essential. Please hold. I need to know how to turn this off if I need to cough. I'm sick. I don't know how to turn it off. Let's unplug it for a second. All right. I hope that worked. You don't want to hear me coughing. All right. I am a similar sort of question. I'm a video designer, editor. Will learning Illustrator help me out? It's probably one of the low down. You probably need to learn Photoshop first and Adobe Media Encoder. So no, it's not on the high list of priorities. I'd be doing other things before I learned Illustrator if I was a video editor. It's handy, but you can do some cool things now with, if you are doing that and you're like, I use Illustrator all the time, you might want to look at, if you haven't already, things like the Essentials graphics panel. You can do quite a bit in there now, Illustrator-ish. So yeah, no. Should every graphic designer learn Illustrator? Yes. It is kind of like unescapable if you want to be a graphic designer. If you're kind of trying to do lots of graphic design in Photoshop, you need to move to Illustrator. Why? Photoshop will do it. It's kind of like what I discussed before about the UX program. It'll do lots of stuff Illustrator will. It can work in vector, and you can argue it does some things better. But as a graphic designer, you'll end up having to do logos and brands and icons and stationery and boxes and stuff. And especially if you want a job somewhere, you'll need to learn Illustrator. I'm new to graphic design. Should I learn Illustrator or Photoshop first? You need to learn both. Pick which one you want to learn first. Doesn't matter. Let's say that you need to learn both of them, and which one you pick with. Pick the one that seems less intimidating to you. Photoshop is easier probably for the first little chunk to get started. It's quite an easy, I've got a Photoshop Essentials course. Check that out. But it is probably a little bit more like, as you imagine, you're like, oh yeah, I'm working with photos and I'm changing them and doing stuff. And that can be a little less intimidating. Illustrator is like, learn pen tool, anchor points, handles. Could be a little bit, yeah, overwhelming to start with. Don't be scared, it's not overwhelming. Overwhelming is the wrong word. Think it's a little bit more of a step. There you go. Hey, I'm applying for a job that mentions needing to know Illustrator. Will bring a laptop, courses get me up to speed for the job requirements like this. Totally, and you only have to do the Essentials course. Like, I promise you, if I meet any graphic designer, doesn't matter how experienced they are or good they are in Illustrator, I bet you they've got no better skills than the Essentials course. This is not to brag about my courses, it's just more to do with like graphic designers. You got a job to do, quick, do it the way you know how. And then 10 years later, you're like, quick, I'm still doing it the only way I knew how that I taught myself 10 years ago. And I know because I kind of do it. I'm a little bit more technical now because I'm a software instructor. So I do keep up with these things. But yeah, I bet you if you do the Essentials course, you'll probably have some tips to give your employer. If you do the advanced course, oh my goodness, you'll be like the best person on the planet. So if you're an experienced Illustrator user, like you might skip Essentials, but if you're self-taught and you only use a few of the programs, a few of the bits, you might want to do Essentials as well as the advanced. I'm gonna take small sips because I'm gonna run out of water. Tiny sips, okay. If I just learn Illustrator, could I work as a designer, freelance or employed? Yeah, probably need Photoshop still. They kind of go hand in hand. And if you're going to be a graphic designer, it depends on where. A lot of graphic design ends up being, at the moment, a lot more pushed towards the kind of social and digital. So yes, you can live with Photoshop and Illustrator. If you're in a more traditional graphic designer role, you'll end up having to work on, like say, annual reports or magazines or newsletters. They're done in something like Adobe InDesign. So those are the main trio for a graphic designer. Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign. Those go hand in hand. All right, if I just want to learn Illustrator, oh, no, sorry. Apart from logo design, what other cool stuff can you do in Illustrator? What other cool stuff? So logo design, you can do, I guess it's more about, it's more of like Illustrator's less of a push a button, make it do exciting things, and more of a, I've got an idea and I want to conceptualize it. So, you can do video, kind of animated GIFs in it. I do that in the advanced course, so animated GIF kind of stuff is cool. But often it's more to do with like making beautiful, like away from like icons and logos, which are kind of functionally the same, you end up doing pretty things like blending one line into the other, doing these amazing gradients. It's more of a look than, yeah, that's my answer. Why use Adobe Illustrator when there are online free alternatives? No reason. It depends on where you are. Like if you can't afford it, use the free alternative. They're not going to be as good. Okay, there's a lot of depth to Illustrator. Like I'm not trying to sell Illustrator because I don't sell it. I don't get a commission. But it's a lot more depth. So if you're going to be a professional, then you need it. If you are just doing light work, you kind of want to make your own logo or make a couple of logos, but not get too deep into it. Then use the free alternatives. That's fine. If you want to get a job, it's very hard to go in with the free alternative because they're going to have some expectations, other files to work with. But if you are doing your own freelance at home and then nobody else is going to see what software you use, totally use the free stuff. What's Darren's favorite thing about Illustrator? What do I love? Probably the freeform gradients. So gradients linear, left to right, black to white, radial ones, we all know those, but man, we can do some cool stuff with non-linear gradients where they kind of move all around. You can make some really cool shapes. I end up doing that far too much, probably. Please hold. Dying. All right. Back. So yeah, that's my favorite thing about Illustrator. And probably the shape builder tool. If you haven't used the shape builder and you're using the Pathfinder, the Pathfinder tool, and you're like, unite, undo, because it's the wrong one. Minus front, undo, that's the wrong one too. Minus back, undo, intersect, no, undo. You end up doing that. Okay, if you are that person, shape builder. That's my gift to you today. Even if you don't do it on my courses, go learn the shape builder tool. It's brilliant. All right, I'm mostly self-taught with Illustrator. Can I jump straight over to the advanced course or should I start Essentials? I kind of mentioned this before. If it was me, I'd be bummed that I missed some of the good stuff in Essentials. You can skip videos because they're only like, I make sure my videos are very on topic. So if you look at the title and you're like, no, that, skip it. And maybe you only do half the course. I'm willing the cough to go away. There we go. All right, will Illustrator be around forever? Is it still the industry leader? Taylor, let me know if that unplugging it is kind of good or just doing something weird with the microphone. Yeah, it'll be around forever. It's one of those tools where they do upgrades, but it's not very exciting every year. They're good. It's just so well developed and does exactly what it needs to. It's not going everywhere. It's still the industry leader. Yeah. One thing is happening with Illustrator is a few people like UX designers end up using less Illustrator while they're using some of their Figma XD tools. But still need it, still around. What graphics tablet would you use with Illustrator? I use a Wacom Intuos Pro, the medium-sized one. That's the one I like. There is the Illustrator for iPad version. Oh. So if I unplug it, it just defaults to the other. You can all hear the cough anyway. Cover the microphone. I'll do that. All right. So yes, I've got an Intuos Pro, little pencil tablet-y thing. Wacom is the company. It's the best one, I think. In terms of the iPad version, it's a cut-down version, as in they're kind of. Illustrator's got so much depth, which is kind of its issue. Like, it's a pain in the butt sometimes because there's so much legacy stuff in there because it's been around for a long time. Like, I learned it in 1999, something like that. So it's been around a long time. So it's got a lot of stuff in there that's just junk. But they don't get rid of it because a couple of people use it and it doesn't really hurt anybody leaving it in there. Whereas the Illustrator for iPad they're sticking to all the really good stuff that people use a lot, but it's missing some stuff, so I don't use it very often because it's missing chunks that I like. And I don't like sitting on an iPad. I like at my desk, I got my arms out, I got my mouse going, got my my Wacom, tappity tap, couple of screens. I'm not curl up on the couch with my iPad and get creative. I need like my space and my stuff. You might be that person, so Illustrator for iPad might be perfect. I'm not very good with computers. Will I be able to learn Illustrator? It'll depend. It'll depend on how bad your computer is. If you are, let's say, Sending emails fine, and like the cool thing about Illustrator is once it's open, it's the same on my tutorial as it is somewhere else. So like it's not, you know, like if you open your phone and their phone, it's kind of different, and you know, you need to find your way through if you're loath to upgrade your phone because it's going to look different, Illustrator luckily doesn't change. It's kind of really the same all the time. It's a tricky thing to learn, but the cool thing about video, you know, is that you get to watch it over and over again. Find a good instructor, and you know, if you like their style, if it's not me, find somebody else. There might be somebody that's going slower and more at your pace. I'd say maybe check out a few like intros, see if they're your kind of person, maybe find some samples and go, okay, this person is breaking it down to my level. Then that's all you need. You need to find somebody that can teach it you at your level. Ask questions as well. I'm running out of questions here, so I've got questions till I can see adding them to the bottom. So if you've got a question, I'm going to answer them live in a second. Tips for being creative in Illustrator. For me, I'm all about something like Instagram, or I find my Instagram feed is being chunked up with either kind of video motion graphics or Illustrator stuff. And I find I take a lot of screenshots and send them to myself. It's how I kind of like, oh, I love that font. And instead of like writing it down, I just take a screenshot on my phone, email it to myself, and dump it into this big like board of mood boardy stuff. And I find it's a good way to get started. So mood boards are the easiest way to get creative in something like Illustrator. Have yourself a project though. I find like, oh, I got a project. So, like, I like doing, is there any other pages? So, see this thing here? Can you see that? I like doodling that sort of stuff, kind of 3D writing-y things. So this is the next thing I'm gonna do in Illustrator. So I'm not so much being creative in Illustrator. Is there something I wanna make? And Illustrator happens to be the right tool. So I wouldn't go, ooh, Illustrator's great. I'm gonna make something in Illustrator. What am I gonna do? I think, say, oh, I want to design a card for somebody. Oh, I know, I'll use Illustrator. Oh, what can be the front? Oh, they like hedgehogs. So I'm going to start mood boarding hedgehogs and start drawing something and then maybe build it out in Illustrator. I don't think you can use the software as a start. If you are using software as a start, I do it all the time. Like, oh, 3D program. I'm going to make something 3D. What should I make? And you don't go anywhere. Like, you need a, not necessarily a client, but a project and somewhere to go and someone to satisfy, and that's me anyway. So, what computer specs would you recommend for running Illustrator? It'll run on anything. And where it gets tough is when you start doing what's called raster effects. So there's a drop down in Illustrator that says effects, and there's ones that are vector, and there's a chunk that say raster effects. Those things are going to kill real computers. Anything other than those, that they end up being things like, they're things that really should be done in Photoshop. Things like drop shadows. I know that sounds dumb, but drop shadows can kill you in Illustrator, especially you've got lots of paths and you're trying to add effects and blurs and stuff. Illustrator hates it. It's not made to do it, whereas Photoshop will go like this and make a blur and make pixels, whereas, and then you start adding vector to it and it doesn't like it, whereas the opposite is in Illustrator. It loves all that vector lines, and it will go, you're going to say, hey, here's a line, duplicate it, 10,000 times, please, and blend it over here. It'll go, no problem. But you say, add a drop shadow to this one box, it'll go, here. And it'll do it, but it won't like it. So yeah, it'll run on anything as long as you're not trying to do Photoshop-y stuff in it. So yeah. I'm using Illustrator 2022, and your course you're running an older version. Are there any problems? Very little. Like Illustrator is one of those course software that I haven't needed to fully update the course because it hasn't updated very much. So no, you can do the full course. At the end of each course, there's an update video of like anything that's like new and fancy. Okay, that's not in the course. I've done every year I look at the new things in Illustrator, so you can jump to when you get to the end, you'll get all the new updates anyway. What's the difference between Essentials and Advanced course? What advanced features will I learn? So Essentials is everything day to day that you're going to learn. Advanced is, there are some funky things we do, okay, pretty effects, just because we've got more skills in the Advanced course, but it's mainly about workflow and going faster, and like instead of spending 20 minutes making this thing, we might be able to do it in 5 if we use these more advanced tricks. So it's for people who have a good understanding, Advanced is for the people who finish Essentials. Basically, I have to split the course. Otherwise, it's going to be like a mega long course and be not framed for the right way. When you start advanced, I expect a certain level, whereas essentials, I expect nothing. I expect you to know how to use a mouse and a keyboard. That's it. You don't even have to do that well. Okay, whereas advanced, I expect some things. So we don't explain everything in so much depth, so we get to move through a lot of more content and introduce like shortcuts and workflow things and like just weird stuff about Illustrator as well. That the thing that you'll be like, no, boring, don't want that. Ooh, there's one weird, crazy thing. That's going to save your loads of time in your job. All right, are the Bring a Laptop certificate official certificates, and will they be recognized by employers? As much as any certificate, it is official from us, but it's not, it's not a degree or a diploma. It's a signal to people that you have done this course. You can link to the, what the certificate means on Bring a Laptop, that it's not just a pass certificate. You've got to actually do assignments, okay? And you can show them those assignments, but it's not like internationally accredited degree doctorate. All right, questions. Ask questions. I've got a few in here before we go on. Before we get into the student questions, if you are interested, go to byol.com and look at the Adobe Illustrator course, Essentials. I talked about this a bit, and Advanced course. You can do it on byol.com. And yeah, sign up. It got courses there for Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, After Effects, Premiere Pro, XD, Figma. Anything else on there? Looking at my little list down, my things down here. There's probably some other stuff. But yeah, if you are keen, check those out. The certificates, there is challenges, there is a podcast, okay, exclusive to Bring a Laptop. I'm about to start recording again. If you are keen for some more podcasts, they're coming soon. I am recording tomorrow and then next week. Cool. All right, so student questions. Krishna, how much will it be and how different are the certificates from a university grade? So the certificates are just part of your subscription. It's $12 a month US, so it's pretty cheap, really cheap. But certificates from university grade is very different, like a bachelor's or a certificate. Say certificate universities in New Zealand are going to be, 8 months to a year, and it's very different. Okay, this can be done courses in 2 weeks, so it's more like a technical certificate rather than a university where there's a lot more to it. So Tim, does Illustrator have any use with After Effects? Yeah, because After Effects does a really poor job. It tries to do some Illustrator stuff, like there's a pen tool and you can draw some shapes, but have you ever drawn like a rectangle in Illustrator, you can't draw a square. Why can't you draw a square or a circle in After Effects? That's circular. It's weird stuff. So yeah, I will jump loads between Illustrator and After Effects using maybe the CC libraries or just copy and paste. Okay, it comes through great. Also, a cool thing you can do between Illustrator and After Effects is, you know how your layers in Illustrator? You might not know, but let's say I build something like let's say it's an ad, okay, like a social media ad, and I design it for flats, okay, to go up for just flat social media posts. But then I want to animate one of them. I can just export my Illustrator file. You can tell After Effects, import as layers, and all those bits are separate and the vector, and you get to animate them all and the type and stuff. So you can do work in Illustrator kind of flat and then just use After Effects for its, like where it's really good at is animating stuff. Okay, to rebuild the whole thing in After Effects is a bit of a pain. You get used to it, but it's a good idea. Okay, Stojna, I'll go with that. Can I create logos with Illustrator, or it must be, can I create logos in Photoshop, or must it be Illustrator? You can totally do it in Photoshop. You just got to make sure that when you're exporting them, they go as vector, which can be the tricky part. It depends on how you've created it. So you've got to make sure you're using the vector tools in Photoshop. No pixels. It has to be scalable, because a logo, somebody's going to want to be on the side of a bus at the same time as, teeny tiny on a sticker, so or in a business card. So you can do it if you know what you're doing and you know how to export from, Photoshop. The export is like a PDF, will retain a lot of the vector if you have done it. But yeah, so yes, you can. It's not common for a professional branding person to do. Talia, can we learn shortcut keys? I mean, these are too overwhelming. No, like if you do my courses, I try to introduce just the good ones, not at the beginning, but later on as you get a bit better. There's a shortcut sheet you can print off, and you'll only, like, if you're a heavy user, sure, you'll start picking them up, but you don't need them. Like, you just need to know kind of where to look. Yeah, like as you get better and quicker, it's the kind of thing where, you know, a junior designer is going to take an hour to make that thing, whereas you can maybe knock it out in 15 minutes because you know a few of the shortcuts and ways of doing things. Mark, what version of Illustrator did you use first? How does it compare to what we have now? So I used probably Illustrator 8 is the first version I used. And actually, I used the kind of pre-runner to Illustrator. I'm not sure which was first. Like, anybody use Macrometer freehand? Anybody out there? So I learned freehand at university. I taught freehand at university. When I was kind of just out of university, I started teaching, like as a teaching labs in university. And it was freehand. That was kind of like industry standard, at least in New Zealand. And then Adobe bought freehand and closed it down. So we all used Illustrator. How does it compare now? Fundamentally, it's the same. Anchor points, stuff. But like there's probably some of the big things. I remember the shape builder I talked about. That is like some of the things that just make, life so, like it'd be hard to go back to pre-shape builder times. But essentially the functionality is the same. A lot of anchor points, a lot of handles, pen tool, drawing. Yeah, but it's a pretty, it matured early, that program, and hasn't got like it's not like, oh my God, there's this new way of working. It's pretty same. Okay, Rob, will there be certificates for InDesign and After Effects soon? Yes. John, if we were to become proficient in Illustrator, what sort of jobs would I expect to be able to do? So, yeah, it's anything that requires logos, icons, anything that needs to be at different sizes. Like Photoshop is like anything that is linear, okay? So packaging, I want to say packaging again in a different way. It's all to do with things like, say that design there, that was probably, can it focus? Nope. That was probably designed on a label in Illustrator. Other things around, this thing here was probably mocked up in Illustrator and gone to print. Okay, all the stuff here. There's a bit of like photos in it still, so you still use photos in Illustrator, but it was probably mocked up because the cool thing about it, Illustrator, is you can mock it up, put all the dimensions on it, so that when it's like Photoshop, you can't really add a lot of the stuff that the production side needs. So say I'm printing a label for a bottle, I'll need to put bleed marks in and put crop marks in, and I need to write probably have color bars on there and version numbers of files and all sorts of stuff that the person who's printing it knows what he's doing, can color check it, and knows where to cut it to be able to put it on the thing. Photoshop doesn't do that sort of stuff. Illustrator does. And if you're an illustrator, it's a great way of getting your hand-drawn drawings, okay, and turning them into stuff. Because if I did that in Photoshop, I could color it in, it would look good. But if I wanted to scale it up, I couldn't. So I'm going to do this. It's going to be very linear because it's Illustrator, but I'll be able to scale it to the size of anything. You could say, I want it to be 1 kilometer wide, and it will do it. All right. The Alice. Hey Dan, you do a short tutorial on the Adobe Capture app one of these days. Yeah, Adobe Capture app. Capture app. If you haven't used it, it's pretty cool. It's free. It's on Mac and it's on Apple iOS and Android. I'm pointing at my phone. You can't even see that. Okay, it's on phones, and it's really cool. You can take photographs of your work. Like if I take a photograph of this, it will bring it into Illustrator. Okay, it'll vectorize it as well, which is cool. It'll pick colors. You can take photos, take colors around the place. You can use it to pick fonts. Say this font here, and you're like, what font is that? You can take a photo of it, and it will suggest fonts for you and get you to download them. So it's pretty cool. It's called Adobe Capture. I use it on and off. I like it. Probably not going to do a course on it. I should. Yeah. Probably not proficient. It's kind of simple as well. I don't know. I'm undecided. Okay, this is me really? Yeah, this is me really. Okay, thank you. How about a course where you go through the big projects where you have to use several apps? Ooh, yes. It's sometimes difficult to know which application is best. That is a really good point. I need to do stuff where I jump between programs. Yes, that is a very good idea. I need to think of something of tying together a bunch of them. Yeah. Check out my Adobe, check out my Adobe Max Lab presentation. It's called Photoshop. Look for my name, Daniel Waterscott, on the Adobe Max website, and you'll see one where I take Photoshop and I kind of move it into Illustrator, I move it into InDesign, I move it into Premiere Pro. But you're right, I need to do one, pick a couple of key projects that people use and show you, because it is often jumping between a few different ones. That's a very good point. All right, Laura, are there any additional costs to these certificates apart from subscribing to monthly to bring your laptop? Absolutely not. Come subscribe for the month, the year. It's a lot cheaper for the year, and no, it's just part of the service. You also get podcasts that are exclusive. You also get design challenges. You also get help from our lovely teaching assistants called the Rockstars. Thank you, Stephen and team. But yeah, lots of perks on Bring Your Laptop. But yeah, it's just the same monthly fee. Fabian, yes, freehand. We are old guys. Corel Draw still exists. Yeah. So yeah, freehand was the one that got closed down, but Corel Draw is still around and it's still good. Does a lot of what Illustrator does. There's no reason why you can't use Corel. Yeah, use Corel Draw. Why not? I use Illustrator, and it's probably more industry standard, but yeah, Corel Draw, rock on. Quark, anyone? Look at you, Victoria Barradell. Victoria works with me at Bring Your Laptop, and she was using Quark until, I feel like way too recently. Look at you, Vic. So InDesign is the alternative to that. But anyway, Alexandros, will you do a CSS advanced class? No, it's out of my knowledge base. I can do basic CSS if you've done my HTML and CSS course, but no, I'm not advanced enough in CSS. Will Weeks, have you included workflows between InDesign and Photoshop? If so, how is it different? Meaning from Illustrator to InDesign and Photoshop? Yeah. How's it different? Between those two? No. Often if you're going from Illustrator to Photoshop or InDesign, you are dumping a finished thing in there, okay? And it's pretty one-way street. The easiest way is to do something like CC libraries or export it as a PDF or an AI file. They'll accept both of them. But no, Illustrator files aren't any particularly different between those two programs, mainly because you'll end up just kind of like lumping the icon on there or the logo on there, not doing much more with it. Photoshop will take it further, so you can import an Illustrator file and keep it as layers, so you can maybe start adding cool effects to it and stuff, so that might be a difference. Magdalene, I'll take that. Will these Adobe Certified Professional certificates? They're not Adobe Certified, like I'm Adobe Certified through Adobe for Adobe Certified like instructor. But no, these are from Adobe Certified Training Center and from Adobe Certified Instructor, but they're not from Adobe directly. They are from Bring Your Laptop. Wholesome Eddie? Edin? Hey Dan, I took a lot of your courses, so theoretically I'm good at Photoshop, Illustrator, but when I open the software and look at the blank canvas, I just freeze. That's everybody. Yep, that is totally everybody. You need, for me, I find it hard to even get started with some of like the drawings that I'm showing, you know, like this thing here. I'm just like, man, I want to do something that's not like a job or something. So it's hard to give yourself projects like, I've got kids, so I find that's a good way. Like, do I have anything? Yeah, I don't have anything from him here. But I like when he makes stuff and I'm like, oh, okay, I can help with that. And then I go off and help it and kind of take it too far. But yeah, it is hard staring at a blank canvas. And I need like projects. So maybe some of the, like, bring a laptop, there's a couple of competitions on there, okay, for design. Go check those out. It might give you some like boundaries, because that's a problem often when you have got blank, freezy face on canvases, that there's too much to do. Whereas with either a design challenge from us or from somewhere else, like Dribble do them as well. They do shots, can't remember what they call them, but there's lots of those sort of generators, and it gives you something to do. Like, it gives you like, okay, you can't do this, it has to be this size after this theme, and then it kind of helps narrow it in and you can start working. And also what I find is 20 minutes is my magic number. 20 minutes of doing anything, and often I'll feel good about it. But I need to get through the 20 minutes of awkwardness of like picking a font, oh no, picking some colors, do some drawing, that didn't work. And then after 20 minutes, I'm like, kind of getting into it. But the whole not starting is the problem. I need to go 20 minutes of, this is rubbish. I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing? Start doing stuff, and about 20 minutes in, I'm away. Benjamin, what if we do the course on Skillshare? Do we get the certificate? No, you don't. It's bring your laptop only. If you've done it on Skillshare and you want to get the certificate, you can sign up for bring your laptop. You'll be able to screenshot that you've done the videos on Skillshare and just show us, and then upload the things that you've done for the exercises, and then we can award the certificate. But you do need to be a paying subscriber. You don't have to be a paying subscriber for long. Just come over, get the certificate. But no, Udemy do their own certificates. Skillshare don't. Yes, that's the answer to that. Asama Bunzali. Ooh, that's a big long last name. Sorry. What should I learn after Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign? I don't know. I think if you're a graphic designer, you need to go start making stuff. That's probably it. If it depends where you want to go. Like, if you want to get into UX, then it's XD. I find that it's a good career move because it's quite popular, profitable. People are asking for it. Or motion graphics, so something like After Effects is a good next step if you like that. TV commercial kind of social media graphics. Or if you want to, like, if you're looking for something kind of out there, something like Adobe Aero is pretty cool. I am dying for an excuse to start using virtual reality tied in with some of the Adobe products, casting your product kind of on the table. Adobe Dimension might be a cool one if you want to mock things up. Adobe Dimension is their 3D kind of, it's static 3D, it's really cool. You can grab your designs and put them on stuff, and it's reasonably easy to kind of work. All right, Jelena, you must choose only one, Figma or Adobe XD. Can't call me out, I got courses on both of them. They're so similar. I probably use Adobe XD more, mainly because of pricing and because I'm working for myself. If I worked at a big company, I'd be using Figma. If I'm a freelancer, I'd be using Adobe XD. But there's nothing in them enough to say one's better than the other. It's more to do with Figma is really set up for big teams and big companies, and Adobe XD works really good for me because I'm already a paying member of Creative Cloud Library. But give me one or the other, don't mind. I'm going to come up with, it takes me a little while to kind of adjust to like, oh, okay, they call that there, and that's a component, and what's that as a variable? Okay, that's called a component set, and it takes me only takes me a little while, but then I'm back in the flow and I'm totally cool. So I don't mind. Good question though. What do we got? What time is it? We'll do it for another 5 minutes and then we're going to go. Bisma Animations. Is there a way to publish a project on Adobe XD into a fully functional website without having HTML CSS? No. XD and Figma just mock-up sites. There's no way of publishing a site. So the options are start in something like code. Okay, start in Visual Studio Code or Dreamweaver, or start building your code and try and design at the same time, which is a bad way of doing it because it takes a long time to code. Or you do it in XD or Figma, get the plans right, get it tested with clients, kind of basic testing, And then, so that's the reason for it, is so you don't have to start in code. A kind of middle ground might be something like Webflow or Elementor, which is kind of more of a drag and drop, but even still, people will still design it in Figma or XD because it's quick and it's easy and you can get sign off and then build it in Webflow, which is longer, okay? Coding it, giving it to the developer is even longer. So that's its purpose, but no, there's no crossover yet. But yeah, so that sounds there. Will Weeks would love a project on ebook designs. Oh yes. So ebooks is a funny one. Like, I don't know, there was a time there where there was going to be like, you know, Apple, does anybody use the Apple iBooks? You might, I'm not an Apple person, but I remember there was a time there with all those magazines and all the companies moved to those magazines with videos in it. It was going to be the next wave of digital publishing. That didn't seem to happen, did it? I trained a lot of big companies that no longer exist to move their books to that sort of format. But in terms of e-books, I'm thinking about e-magazines. You're talking about e-books. Yeah, e-books are still obviously definitely a thing, you know, and they're a little bit more prescriptive. You can do some fun stuff in them, but I'm kind of talking about the dizzying heights of that, the new digital publishing stuff. Went off on a bit of a tangent there, but no, ebooks. Ebooks have a really prescriptive, you have to do this thing, you can only do this thing, otherwise it won't work in that reader. I find that I find that a little bit tricky. And I don't have a huge amount of experience in it. I've done it, loads, but I haven't worked with publishers for a long time because they went out of business. Not all of them. So by analytic, I want to design user interface for dashboard applications, so to use Adobe Illustrator or Adobe XD. Probably XD. Yes, it's better because you can actually prototype in it, so you can click on things and it moves to different screens, where Illustrator, you'll design them the same, but there's no like interactivity, and XD has some good stuff where you can send it off for commenting to your client. So definitely do your user interface design in XD. If you're doing it in Illustrator, you're not doing it wrong, but you're missing out on some of the cool features that you can use in Adobe XD. And if you already know Illustrator, XD is easier to learn. Yeah. Ingrid, not on topic, but I love 3D, but Cinema 4D is expensive. Do you think Adobe will expand the 3D program further? They bought a bunch of them. So they're a separate license at the moment. I'm hoping they bring them into the Creative Cloud licensing as part of it. So that we can all use it for free as part of the license. But no, it's called there's Surface, there's, I think Substance is the umbrella name for what they're calling all the Adobe stuff. And there's like, there's about 3 different products in there that do different things with 3D. They're pretty hardcore. Cinema 4D is actually free as part of After Effects. It's kind of little known, but if you go into if you've got After Effects, you've already got Cinema 4D. It's a light version, L-I-T-E, light. If you open up After Effects, you can open up Cinema 4D. I think you still can. You need to double check. You have up until recently. I'm okay at Cinema 4D, and I always use it. I don't pay for the separate license. You can use the free version as part of license as part of After Effects. So yeah, open up After Effects and then go to File, New, Cinema 4D file, and magically this light version of Cinema 4D will open up. That's pretty cool. This is going to be my last question. Okay, you get it, Rob. Rob Atonia. Atoyan. I want to start a digital drawing. Yeah, I want to start digital drawing as well. I want to ask about Adobe Fresco. What is it good for, and what other apps would you recommend for digital drawing? Adobe Fresco is brilliant for drawing. So yeah, it's iPad. If you haven't used it, it's iPad specific. It's kind of like Procreate. It's a competitor to that, and it's all about digital drawing. Okay, and it's the one to do it in. Doing proper illustration, hand-drawn illustration in Illustrator is not fun. So do it in Fresco. You can convert it and stick it over to Illustrator to do Illustrator or Photoshop style things. Adobe Fresco is great, or Procreate. Yeah, those are the tools to use it. Recommend anything else? No, those are the ones. Adobe Fresco is the one. You're on the right track there. All right, that is going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. So if you liked the video, give it a like. I'm looking now. Waiting for you to like it. All right, subscribe to the channel as well. Check out, if you are interested in like, hey, what is it good for? You know, what is Photoshop for? Who's it for? Premiere Pro, I've done those ones. What is, what's the other one? Figma. I'm looking at the icons here. Okay, if you're looking at those, there's a bunch of those ones as well. There'll be links in the description to those, like who is it for, questions and answers. Also, if you want to be get a certificate for Adobe Illustrator from Bring Your Own Laptop from me, check out byol.com. Okay, there's Illustrator Essentials, Illustrator Advanced, plus a bunch of other ones: Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, After Effects, Premiere Pro, XD, Figma. I've got some Visual Studio Code, learning HTML and CSS, Adobe Animate, some other ones there. But that, my friends, is going to be it for the evening. I hope wherever you are, you're having a good night, good morning, good day. Thanks for being here on the live stream, and I will see you again another time.